They say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And that's truly true when we deal with the Ivery family. This next young man, we've had the pleasure of knowing and watching him grow and watching him excel and watching him follow in the values about giving back, about never forgetting where he came from and who helped him get there. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Marcus Ivery.
Good morning. Well, I guess it's fair for me to admit as well, I too was a naysayer. I definitely came kicking and screaming. And, you know, at the time, unlike my sister, I guess I didn't have a choice. But I have to admit and I have to say that, you know, once I got here and got immersed within the community, Detroit was definitely a city, for me, I fell in love with. And I, you know, would often tell my sister, and I just couldn't quite convince her to make the transition and make the move along with the rest of the family. But this was definitely a city that over the years, I definitely came to grow and came to love. But for me, when I think about those early years in Detroit and within the community and with my father, I think about, and as you all know, my dad is he's an avid reader and an avid writer. And he always had a book. Wherever my dad went, wherever we would go, it didn't matter if we were at a restaurant, at a ball game, if he was coaching one of my soccer teams, he had a book on the sideline. You know, I'll give him credit if it was basketball or football. He didn't need the book, but soccer, he needed a book. He always had a book with him. So he always, even if we were at a restaurant, he may have 3 or 4 books. And if he found a passage or something that he was passionate about, he would begin to circulate the book around, and he would always challenge us to, you know, to think critically. And, this is my dad impression. Marcus, you know, here you go. What do you think about this? And he would always, you know, begin to get us to try to think, you know, critically about those books. And even to this day, he still does it. Even I think this was about a month ago, he was not trying to, because he forced me to do it. I had a homework assignment coming from a dinner to read The Laws of Human Nature. And I'm sure some of you may have actually, if you sat with him long enough, he probably gave you the same homework assignment too. That was definitely what he did. And that's just my dad, always challenging me, always getting me to think deeper about whatever it is. And I don't leave any time that I'm with him, I'm always, you know, there's something coming out of that discussion. And as I stand before you today, nothing much has changed from the time that I was younger to even now. The hard copies, he doesn't necessarily carry around, but now he has his most prized possession, the iPad. Everywhere he goes, he has his iPad. At his fingertips, he has unlimited books, lectures, and his most prized possession within that iPad are his videos of his grandsons. And as I walk around the campus, I can run into someone who's telling me about how they've seen a video of one of my sons. And it also reminds me of how when I also walk around the city, I'm often bumping into people and I have exchanges and encounters of people that they're telling me about the impact and the influence that my father has had on them. And all of the different times throughout those exchanges, it reminds me of the influence that he's also had on my life. My father inspires many in his role as an educator, a mentor, and as an advocate. He lives his life with an integrity and a dignity that comes through in what he says, and more importantly, in all that he does. And as I've said many times before, he's the template for how I father my own sons. To balance a demanding career with raising a family, and most importantly, giving back to the community. His life's mission has been to transform the lives of others through education. And I can recall during the 50th anniversary of the college, my father saying that we are champions of opportunity, the defenders of big dreams, and guardians of the roads to prosperity. This college has been the lifeline for many people who otherwise would not have made it. When you give people the opportunity to better themselves, they can become meaningful and productive members of society. And for me, his reference of champion, that truly resonated with me. And I thought about the tremendous influence he's had on himself and others. In every word that he speaks, there's compassion. In all his actions, there's humility. In his generosity, many lives have been enriched. I recently heard a renowned educator lecture and proclaim how powerful would our world be if we had children that were not afraid to take risk, who were not afraid to think, who had a champion. Every child deserves a champion, an adult who never gives up on them, who understands the power of connection, who insists they become the best they can possibly be. My sister and I have been very fortunate and very blessed to have that champion every day of our lives. And as we stand here today dedicating the Curtis L. Ivery Central Education Complex in my father's name, I could not be prouder of what he's achieved. And I would like to thank my father for all that he's done for us as a family. And I heard someone, mention earlier about the sacrifice, that as a family that we've made. And for us, it's never really felt as a sacrifice because my father's always made it easy because he's always been there. No matter how much he's worked, he's always been there at every game, every practice. If we ever needed anything for my teams, he's always been there. So for us, this has been easy. So I thank him for that. I would like to publicly thank him for that, any opportunity that I get. So once again, I would like to thank him. This is a wonderful, amazing day, as he said. So with that, thank you for all being here.